ground cracked open, splitting the earth in two. As the villagers of Mgbidi stood in stunned silence, the sun, for the first time anyone could remember, refused to rise. Darkness hung over the land like a thick blanket, and fear spread like wildfire. A child cried out, "Is this the end?" An elder muttered, "Perhaps the Creator is angry. We must find out why." But nobody had an answer. Only questions that weighed heavy on their hearts. Amara, a young girl with a soul as curious as a wandering bird, sat by the village stream that morning, or what should have been morning. She stared at the black sky and whispered, "Who told the world that the day is for work and night for rest? And what happens if the sun never returns?" The stream gurgled softly, as if it were listening, but it did not reply. Amara lived in a small hut with her grandmother, Nneka, the village griot. Nneka's stories had filled the air like music since Amara was a child, and each tale carried lessons that lingered like the scent of rain. But this time, even Nneka seemed lost for words. She sat in silence by the fire, her hands clasped tightly around her storytelling staff. Amara, unable to contain her thoughts, finally spoke. "Nne, why is the sun hiding? What have we done?" Nneka's eyes glimmered in the firelight. "My child, sometimes the world asks questions that even the wisest do not know. But perhaps the answer lies in seeking." Amara's brow furrowed. "Where should I seek it?" Nneka pointed her staff toward the forest. "The whispering tree knows many things. It has stood since the beginning of time, its roots deep in the earth, and its branches touching the sky. If you are brave enough to ask it, it may answer." The path to the whispering tree was treacherous. It snaked through the thick underbrush, where the shadows of tall trees danced like spirits. Amara packed some yam and palm oil in a small cloth bundle and set off with determination. As she walked, she heard the rustles of leaves and the distant cries of night creatures. Her heart pounded, but she pressed on. By her side, a tortoise emerged from the bushes. It was Okenwa, known in the village for his slow steps and sharp wit. He tilted his head at her. "Amara, where are you going with such purpose?" "To the whispering tree," she replied. "I must ask why the sun has abandoned us." Okenwa nodded. "Then I will go with you. Your question is heavy and the road is long. Even a tortoise can carry a piece of your burden." Their journey was marked by encounters with the natural world, each offering a piece of the puzzle. First, as they entered a vast clearing, the wind stirred suddenly and fiercely, wrapping around Amara and Okenwa like an unseen force. It howled through the trees and whispered in their ears. Amara paused, feeling the wind tug at her clothes and hair. Wind, do you know why the sun refuses to rise? The wind's voice, ancient and airy, swept over them. I blow across the earth to carry seeds, cool the weary, and bring rain clouds to the fields. But even I must rest between my journeys. I am balanced, child, for without pause, even the strongest wind becomes a storm that destroys instead of nurtures. Okenwa tilted his head knowingly. Balance, he echoed softly. Amara, her eyes wide with understanding, repeated the word balance. Further along, they reached a river, its waters dark and still under the blackened sky. As they drank from its edge, the river murmured, I flow so that life may drink and grow, but I must sleep in the depths of the earth. Before I rise again, without rest, even I would dry up. Okenwa tilted his head again. Balance and rest. Do you see, Amara? I do, she said, though her heart still yearned for a clearer answer. As night deepened, they heard the hoot of an owl. It perched on a low branch, its wide eyes gleaming. Amara called out, Wise one, can you tell me why the sun does not rise? The owl blinked slowly and said, Not all creatures sleep at night, nor wake by day. The Creator gave each their rhyme, their time. Perhaps you people have forgotten this balance, and now the world reminds you. Amara's heart felt heavy. Was the darkness their fault? Had they ignored the wisdom of the natural world? As they pressed on, they came across a field of wilting flowers. Amara knelt beside them, sadness washing over her. A soft voice rose from the petals, barely a whisper. We bloom with the sunrise and close with its fall. Without sun, we cannot thrive. Yet, when the sun shines too long, we wither. Everything must have its time. The tortoise added, even the flowers understand. Life is a song of rhymes, Amara, not an endless stretch of light. Finally, they reached the whispering tree, a giant with roots that snaked into the earth like veins and branches that seemed to touch the heavens. Amara stepped forward, her voice trembling. Great tree, I have come to ask, who told the world that the day is for work and night is for rest? And why has the sun left us? The tree's leaves rustled, and its voice emerged, deep and steady. Child, the world was not told, it learned. The sun rises and sets, the moon waxes and wanes, the rivers flow and rest, because this is the balance the Creator wove into all things. But humans, they forget. They toil by day and seek to stretch it into night, ignoring the rhyme of life. The sun's absence is not a punishment, but a reminder. Without rest, there is no renewed hope. Without balance, there is no harmony. Tears welled in Amara's eyes. Then, how do we bring back the song? The tree's voice softened. Return to your people. Tell them to honor the day and the night as they were given. Teach them that balance is the Creator's greatest gift. Only then will the sun rise again. Amara and Okenwa journeyed back to Mgbidi. By the time they arrived, the villagers had gathered in the square, their faces pale with worry. Amara stood before them and recounted her journey, her voice clear and steady. "We have forgotten balance," she said. "We walk without rest, take without giving, and stretch the day into night. The sun waits for us to remember the rhyme of life." The elders nodded solemnly, and the villagers agreed to change their ways. That night, they lit no lamps. Instead, they gathered under the black sky, sang songs of gratitude, and promised to honor the Creator's design. At dawn the next day, as Amara stood by the river, the first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon. The sky blushed with hues of gold and orange, and the villagers cheered. Balance has been restored. From that day on, the people of Mgbidi rose with the sun and rested with the moon. Remembering the lesson carried in Amara's question, they passed down the story of who told the world as a reminder of the beauty and harmony woven into creation. And just as you have listened to Amara's tale, perhaps the rhyme of this story has struck a chord in your heart. Let its light guide your journey. Share its wisdom far and wide. For every sunrise and sunset holds a lesson we all must learn. At dawn, when the first golden rays kissed the horizon, and the dark veil of night gave way to the sun's quiet return, the villagers wept with joy, their hearts reborn. Amara stood still by the river's side, the tortoise Okenwa by her feet, beaming with pride. "See now," whispered the wind, dancing through the trees. "The sun rises not as a command, but in harmony's ease. When hearts remember balance, when work knows rest, the world rewards those who honor its tastes." The river rippled, its waters clear. Life flows in rhyme. We must persevere. Give but pause. Take but share. For balance restores what once was despair. The whispering tree, its ancient voice humming low, sang, "The sun's return is the gift you sow, for light is earned through acts of grace, and harmony blooms when patience finds its place." The villagers gathered, hands held in a sacred ring, their voices lifted as one, a song the heavens could sing. They promised the day its labor, the night its song, to walk in peace where each heart belongs. From that day on, under sun and moon's glow, Mgbidi thrived, for they had come to know The earth gives freely, but only in kind. Live with balance in heart, in soul, and in mind. And so, dear listener, as the sun begins to rise, let its warmth remind you: be gentle, be wise. Honor the pauses, cherish the flow, for life's greatest lessons are the seeds we sow. If this tale lit a spark in your soul, carry its light, let its wisdom unfold. Return here when stories beckon your quest, for there are more whispers waiting in rest. Goodbye for now.